Hello everyone, so I'm in a slightly different filming location today just because I didn't feel like sitting on my floor. I just kind of want to highlight my favorite moments from my week-long study tour in Norway with DIS. I am in the sustainability program, as many of you know. There's actually 3 sections of the sustainability program, so you can pick which long study tour you would prefer to go on, and I chose Norway. I've always wanted to go to Norway, so it was an easy pick for me. So we took a cruise ferry, I guess is technically what you would call it, from Copenhagen to Oslo because we wanted to pick the most sustainable method of transport, and of course flying emits a lot of CO2. You know, I've been guilty of flying a lot this semester. It is what it is, but it was interesting having this sort of slow travel approach, as my teacher called it. But basically then in Oslo we hit some spots that were either cultural sort of destinations like City Hall, or we went to the Ministry of Petroleum there, and they kind of talked about Norway's plans with being so reliant on exporting oil while trying to be a sort of sustainable nation, which a lot of people critique them for being pretty hypocritical about that, which it is. However, they're at a point now where they're an extremely wealthy country, so they do now have the funds to invest in really good clean energy. So I'm crossing my fingers that eventually one day, hopefully very soon, they can just become a completely clean nation, no exports of oil or anything, but we'll see how long that takes. One of my favorite little activities we did, it wasn't even necessarily a visit, was we had the creator of Rutten come and speak with us, and we got to make little coffee scrubs. So that was really fun. It was great hearing from the perspective of a small business owner. With a lot of the things we've been doing in this sustainability class, we're focusing so much on, you know, politicians and what countries are doing at large, what cities are doing at large, huge companies are doing. And sometimes it's nice to just hear from someone who's making an impact in a smaller way, because I feel like that's just as important too. That night we had the best vegan food I've had in my entire life. The place was called Funky Fresh Foods. If you're going to Oslo, if you're in Oslo, highly recommend. So good. I had a yellow beet soup that would change your life. I'm serious. And all the other food was really great too. A great vegan lasagna. It was just A+ start to finish. We also went to a newly developing area of Oslo called Fornebu. Kind of the central location there is the shopping mall. It's a really sustainable shopping mall. The materials used, how it's lit, everything about it is just sort of this kind of holistic approach to sustainability, which I thought was interesting. However, a lot of people in my group critiqued the just kind of living area as a whole, because it's surrounded by these apartments that a lot of people thought looked too sterile and not lived in, no character. There's a park around the area that everyone thought was too bleak looking, but in my opinion, I thought it was a great area. It's not done, it's newly developing, as I said, so you gotta have patience with those things. You have to look and see the potential in the space, and I really saw the potential in the space. I think it's important to give people living options. Not everyone wants to live in a pastel street with a lot of people hustling by with a cafe down below. You know, a lot of people like that, but not everyone does. So it's nice having an option where you have an area to shop and buy things, but still at the same time live a little bit outside of town so it's not quite so loud. There was a school nearby. Like I said, there's a big park area. There's some office buildings there, so people will probably work there. Like, I just felt like it was a really good start to a new living space in Oslo, especially since Oslo is apparently having a lot of issues with housing. They're running out, so sometimes you do have to like copy paste some houses in, some apartments in, if you will. Then we kind of got to head out of the city into an area called Rokin, which was beautiful. And when I think of Norway, this was the kind of place I was envisioning. It's this deep valley town, like just these huge mountains surrounding where everyone is living. Actually, the really interesting thing about Rokin is only 10% of the town actually receives direct sunlight. The rest of it is pretty much in the shadows, so that doesn't mean it's like pitch black there. It just means, you know, you're can't really get a tan there necessarily. But what they've done is set up sort of this odd contraption where it's like a mirror at the top of one of the mountains, and then it bounces off this mirror, and then it hits the little area in front of City Hall there. So that was really interesting to see. We got to take a cable car to the top of a mountain there, play around in the snow for a bit, look at the views, which was really, really awesome. And then just had a quick lunch up there. Where we stayed was beautiful. It was this ski resort almost, not quite a resort, but everyone was kind of split off into little groups in our class, and we each got our own cabins. And I must say, I ended up getting the nicest cabin, I think, but you know, mine was not very rustic, so nice is subjective in this instance, but it was really, really cute, contemporary. Like, if it was an Airbnb, I would come back. The next day we got to go to the national park there. I'll put the name of it in the next slide because unfortunately I cannot pronounce it, but that was pretty fun. We went snowshoeing. My shoes were really, really tight and it was really cold, so that kind of took away from the experience. My feet were in a lot of pain. So just a pro tip, if you're doing the sustainability core course, get some good shoes. I think I was the only one who had bad shoes, so it was kind of like deteriorating me, but everyone else seemed to be doing okay, so just like keep that in mind. Anyway, there was also a really great exhibit there, kind of just talking about the wildlife in the area. Something kind of funny to me was they had attached a camera to a reindeer there. Her name was Bella, and what a life Bella lives. So much moving around, so on the go, my kind of gal. I think our last stop there was a hydropower plant, so that was very interesting to see in person. But yeah, that was basically it in Rokin then. And the next day we made a quick jaunt back, well, it's not a quick jaunt, it was a 4-hour drive, back to Oslo. We had a talk from another small business owner, and her small business was called Sling, and basically what they are doing is taking apples from really old trees in people's yards who, you know, usually just let the apples fall to the ground and rot anyway. They're getting people with special needs who otherwise are having a hard time finding jobs and getting them to collect the apples off the trees before they go bad and turn them into apple juice. So real simple concept, but really great work being done. So again, I really, really appreciated hearing what a small business is doing to make moves in the world of sustainable development. And our final visit was the Opera House, the new Opera House in Oslo, and that's really, really great. It's a big tourist spot now, I think. You basically can go up the side of it a couple ways. They made it look sort of like an iceberg, and they just wanted to give back to the community. It was a very expensive building, so they wanted it to still be a public space, and I thought that was really interesting. And you get great views from up there. I know someone commented on my Instagram saying I should go there, so I'm glad that I didn't even have to think about it and we went there for class. We also got a tour of the inside. Unfortunately, I didn't get to film any of that because it's a place where people work, but you know, got to see backstage, got to see where they build sets, so that was very, very cool. And overall, I really enjoyed the trip. I thought it was great. I thought Norway was fantastic. It wasn't too much colder than Denmark, so that's really great. And yeah, I would definitely want to go back. Maybe in the summertime though. So thank you all very, very much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.